We are back, and I am talking to Kelli Space. Kelli, you know what I want to make sure that you get from this program, that you understand, and hopefully you can articulate this on any other interviews that you have, is the real story. Your real story is not about your website and you're trying to repay the money. The real story is that a teenage girl was able to borrow $200,000 because of government guaranteed loans. That this is crazy. That in a free market economy, there is no way that you would have been able to borrow this money because nobody would lend it to you. People would know that you don't burden a 20-year-old with a $200,000 in debt, that they're not going to pay it back. But because the government co-signed it and basically co-signed you into indentured servitude for the rest of your life, you were able to borrow money that, absent all these government loans, you never could have borrowed. What you want to do is become an advocate against government guaranteed loans. You know, I ran for Senate here in Connecticut, and part of my platform was to do just that. I wanted to abolish government loans so college tuition prices could fall, and so kids would not be burdened by all this debt. Now, my opponents was saying, well, I'm anti-education, I'm anti-student. Knowing what you know now, would it have been a good thing or a bad thing if you couldn't borrow this money?
It would have been a great thing.
Right. It would have been the best thing that could have happened to you.
Definitely.
Right. And that is what people don't understand. And your case makes it as plain as day that you would be much better off if there were no government student loans. Instead, you are $200,000 in debt because of all the unintended consequences of Washington do-good politicians. See, they try to make the students think they're on their side. Now, have you been voting in elections?
Yeah.
How do you vote, Democrat or Republican?
Generally Democrat.
Right. And is one of the reasons you voted Democrat because they want all this aid to education?
I mean, it was less about education, but I mean, I see your point.
Well, I know a lot of the young people vote Democrat because the Democrats, we want money for education, we want to make grants available, we want student aid, we want student loans. I mean, they usually get the students' vote by promising money for education.
Right, right.
But, of course, the reason that education is so expensive is because their aid allows the universities to jack up their prices.
Right, absolutely.
So hopefully one thing that you can learn from this is that you don't want something from the government because it comes with a lot of strings and a lot of unintended consequences. What you need from government is for government to stay out.
Definitely. And also what I've learned from this is that, I mean, I've received so many emails from people, so many people in my position and worse off, that, I mean, it's becoming evident that I'm not the only one. I'm not the worst.
Well, can you make a promise to me? Will you make this story about government and government-guaranteed student loans, and instead of, you were a young girl, you don't know it. I mean, you were 18, 19 when you started to borrow this money. I mean, you're really not even at the age where you should be making these kind of decisions.
Absolutely.
And the only reason you were able to do it was because the government guaranteed these loans. And then the banks didn't care. They didn't care what they were doing to you. They didn't care how much of a burden they were placing on you. All they knew is they were going to get the money back because the government was going to pay them.
Absolutely.
I mean, doesn't that make you angry?
Of course it does, of course.
So
but I need an immediate fix. I need to fix this. I need to make my life better if no one else is going to do it for me.
But speak about the real source of your problem. Speak about it as a government problem, as a government guaranteed loan, as the unintended consequences of how government is screwing all this up. Yes, yeah, sure. You are part of the problem. You did borrow the money.
Right.
But you were 18, you were 19, and people were dangling this idea in front of you. You got to have the best degree. Who cares what it costs? People that you trust were telling you, who cares? Who cares? Just go to the best college. This is all propaganda by the educational establishment so they can overcharge kids with government money. And they graduate with mortgages and no houses. It is a disgrace what's happened to you and what's happened to many young people like you.
Definitely.
All right, look, I'm glad that you agreed to come on the show. I wish you luck. Your website, for anybody that does want to make a donation, 200thou.com to help you pay off that debt. As I said, I think you're better off using that donation money for something else. I would leave the country. I'd take that money and use it for a plane ticket and to start a new life where you're not a serf, where you're not an indentured servant, because you shouldn't have to pay that. It's ridiculous that this much money was loaned to you.
Well, thank you very much for agreeing.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and good luck to you. Anyway, that's it for today. We are running out of time. Don't forget, tomorrow, my guest is the creator of the cartoon video on the Fed. I forget the guy's name, but he is the guest on the show tomorrow. So make sure and tune in. And also, I am going to get into this discussion on civil rights and how it causes discrimination in the workplace. So that'll be a very interesting discussion. So make sure not to miss it. Take care, everybody. I will be back again tomorrow with another live episode of The Peter Schiff Show.